comes a yearning to rebuild the third temple in Jerusalem. One of the requirements for entry into the holy precincts of the temple is to be ritually pure. One of the most important ceremonies for purification prior to rebuilding is the dedication of the red heifer. According to Jewish tradition, only 9 red heifers were actually sacrificed in the period extending from Moses to the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. Moses prepared the first, which lasted for 1,000 years. Ezra the second, and 7 others followed. Today, the Temple Institute, an organization dedicated to preparing the reconstruction of a third temple in Jerusalem, has been attempting to identify red heifer candidates worldwide, consistent with the requirements of Numbers 19, 1 through 12. Speak to the Israelites and have them bring you a completely red cow, which has no blemish and which has never had a yoke on it. Numbers chapter 12, verse 2. Numerous attempts have been made in recent years to locate a pure red heifer with no blemish. Candidates were discovered outside of Haifa, as well as in the Golan Heights. However, in each case, there were issues that invalidated them. Fast forward to Texas, the cattle-raising capital of the United States, and where the 2 lone stars meet.
We traveled across basically the Atlantic, coming all the way out here, drove a few hours from there anyhow. And we're so excited and glad to be here because we are now doing God's word as He commanded in the Bible, in the book of the Numbers. Number 1, we have to be all so privileged and this is an unbelievable day.
Inspection begins according to Numbers 12, verse 2. And have them bring you a completely red cow, which has no blemish, and which has never had a yoke on it.
The cool thing about this is it's the first step in building the temple. In the book of Micah, in the 4th chapter, I'm going to paraphrase, it says that in the last days, people will stream from all over the earth, and they will stream to Jerusalem to go up to the temple of God. And there they'll get instruction from the Lord, and they'll go back to Texas, or they'll go back to Argentina. They'll go back and they'll teach the ways of the Lord in the last days.
God is a God without time, right? The day of creation could also be the last day, and we are getting so close to that day of eternalness.
Phenomenal end-time events are unfolding before our very eyes. Prophecy is unfolding before our very eyes. If God has touched you, we welcome you to be a part of this historical journey for such a time as this.
Over 2,000 years, we waited for this moment, and we are now living it. Okay, this is not just like an experience that goes by us. We are living the moment, and it is just phenomenal. So let us all uplift our spirits and connect to this very spiritual time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hallelujah.
We'll be creating or having this most amazing, greatest ceremony in Jerusalem, where all the 70 nations will be invited to come and participate. And that is going to be the key to redemption. The start of the building of the third temple is going to happen that moment. And the red heifer is the symbol from God that He's ready.
Join us now for such a time as this.
We usually go with all quiet on the set before we do a shoot, but it's hard to get the animals to obey our commands. Ty, you have a 1,400-acre ranch here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Hundreds of head of cattle. And you have Jewish scholars from Israel, from Jerusalem, coming to your ranch to look at your cattle, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's the story behind that?
Well, it goes back several years ago. My brother had met these gentlemen that were from Ethiopia. And this Ethiopian Jew talked about this red heifer, and Brian told him, well, my brother raises red heifers, red cattle, red Angus. So time went by, and Byron came with some friends and said, can we come out and look at your cattle?
Red heifer. Let me interject for a second. I don't want to talk over you. Para aduma in Hebrew, red heifer. If you don't know it, this is extremely important to religious Jews. The discovery of the red heifer, from their perspective, is on the cusp of prophecy, inaugurating a messianic era. It's a big to-do for them, and this just rolled onto your shores. Now, go ahead. I don't want to talk too much.
Well, no. I love the early Testament, and so I was familiar with the red heifer from reading Numbers 19, which talks all about what's needed to dedicate the temple. And so when they told me this is going to be the 10th heifer, which will be the final heifer before the Messiah Moshiach returns, I got really excited.
You're learning a little Hebrew. You're getting into the game, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I've always loved Hebrew people. I feel like I'm grafted in. I'm one of them.
Well, you are now. You're a veterinarian, too.
Yes, I am.
So you know one or two things about cattle, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I'm humbled. I'm really humbled, Jeff, to think that this was my purpose in life.
I was about to say that sometimes when we're older in life, I'm 66, we look back and we see how everything leads up to it. From your perspective, here, a veterinarian, couple hundred head of cattle, 1,400-acre ranch, and here you are, you have red cattle, and bingo, you hit pay dirt. You're on a sense of something special.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Back about 1991, I rededicated my life to the Lord, and at the time I said, well, I'm going to change the herd that I'm doing, and I'd read about the red heifer. So I said, I'm going to change over and I'm going to start raising red cattle.
So it was deliberate, and it was inspired by biblical text.
Yeah, by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, gotcha.
He gave me a love for the red cattle. And my dad, too, who at the time wasn't a Christian. But Dad said, well, okay. He said, let me look around. And at the time, the premier herd was in Montana. So Dad said, Mother and I are going to drive up there and look at those cattle. And when he comes back, he brings back this red Angus bull. And that was the beginning of raising red Angus.
So this was intentional.
Yes.
What a day. As the ranchers gathered the red calves for inspection, I couldn't help but wonder if this is indeed prophecy being fulfilled in our very day. To help facilitate the rabbis from the Temple Institute in their international search is B'nai Israel, a camaraderie of Christians and Jews working to restore relations with Israel and the Bible. Byron Stinson acts as team leader on this project.
What I see happening here, it's all biblical right out of the Bible. This is something that, it's been 3,000 years since this happened. I study the Bible a lot, and what I've seen is that the fathers of our faith are the Jewish fathers in Israel. And in the book of Malachi, it says that the fathers and the children don't come together and care about each other, if there's not unity between us, then there's going to be a curse upon the land. And so what I see is when Israel scattered at 680 BC all over the earth, then Israel still had a spirit to follow the Lord. And the way that they were able to do that was through the Bible. They were able to find the Torah, they would find the writing of the prophets, and so they found those in churches all over the world. So you see the children of Israel scattered across the earth, and they're in churches, and their spirit is drawing them back to the land and to this final time when there's unity. Because we know during the time of Solomon that Judah and Israel were separated. So what I see has happened is Judah was returned after the World War II. Judah went back and built up the nation strong, and now they're a strong nation and they're ready to build the temple. But God had promised that He would reunite Israel and Judah. So I see it like the two sticks. If you go to Ezekiel 37 at the end of the verse, you'll see that there's two sticks that God holds in one hand. It becomes one stick. And so I believe that the red heifer is an opportunity for us as fathers of the faith, my friend Saki and I, and to be a picture of those two sticks. That we've chosen to love each other, to care about each other, and to be unified in everything that we're doing together. So I see this red heifer as that. It's also, the rabbis are saying the red represents the blood. I believe that. I believe that Yeshua is the Messiah. My rabbi friends haven't seen that yet, but what they said, we agree on 90%. So let's just get together on the 90%. Let's love each other, and when Jesus comes, or when the Messiah comes, then what we'll do is we'll check his passport, and if he happens to have two stamps, then we'll know that was right. But for right now, let's just love each other. So we're starting here, and we're coming unity, and we're not going to be broken apart. We're going to be friends. We're going to love each other. And this red heifer is an opportunity, I believe, for us to come together around this red heifer ceremony that's going to go on. And the world's going to see this. The whole world needs, at this time, we need something like this to unify us. You know, with all of the things that are going on, we need to come together.
עד עכשיו עשינו סיבוב ראשוני.
אני אגיד לכם מה...
רגע, הרב עזריה גם עלה.
הרב עזריה פה?
תודה בשם מצוות נציאת הפרה האדומה, שכל הכוונותינו יהיה לשם שמיים ושנצליח במעשה ידינו. So we have here rabbis, big rabbis from the land of Israel. All came out here, heard the news from last time that we came out here, and they were dashing from excitement. I'm ecstatic of what they heard. And we're hoping today, we just said a small prayer, we just said now, we're hoping that God will help us inspect and find the right red heifer, if it's one, if it's two, if it's many, as many. So we just are about now to do the inspection.
And the inspection begins. According to Numbers chapter 19, a red heifer must be without defect or blemish, nothing, and must have never been placed under a yoke. Well, these rabbis from Israel used the Mishnah, an ancient oral collection of Jewish traditions. And with those in mind, they meticulously inspect the hairs of the heifer to be precise. Not only must the cow be pure and red, but it cannot contain more than 2 hairs of a different color. Imagine that. The cow has to be at least 3 years old, never haltered, and never impregnated. These qualifications have made the search for a perfect red heifer a near impossibility throughout history. And then there's today.
All this project is connected to the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. Okay. And actually, Rav Dahan, somewhere there, represents the Temple Institute. He's working the Temple Institute.
A geneticist, I believe, with the Temple Institute, figured out that 1 out of every 50,000 of the red Angus is born with all red. And so they're just playing the numbers, and they've been reaching out to the Red Angus Cattle Association for a few months. And there's been a number of rabbinical delegations looking for these, looking for the right one.
And there is a few things that we have to solve together to, I hope, succeed to make this project of the red heifer. That I call it a project for us, but it's actually a project of God. So there is 2 issues. One issue is, first of all, to understand that there is a possibility to find red heifer. Something that I don't know why, but nobody think about it. To come to Texas to fight Byron Stinson and to ask Byron, please help us to hunt red heifer and to make a search all over the range and find red heifer. So first of all, is the possibility to know that it's possible. This is one. Now we are a little in the second step, because after Harav Hanan and me was here last 2 months ago, I think, Now we bring another two very, very important rabbis, Arav Dahan and Arav Rimon, that actually came to see exactly, because by the tradition we have few rules about the red heifer. First of all, everybody know, no tag in the ear or other tattoo or something like this. So thanks to Brian in this ranch, they didn't do it to the new baby cattle. Second, we're not allowed it will be more than two white or black hair. So actually we look hair by hair to see if it's red. Third thing is connected for all the kind of sacrifice, not only for the red heifer, is to see that the body is complete, no blemish, no cutting, no broken legs or something. So all of that they try to see exactly how it's came. The strange thing is that actually more than 2,000 years nobody do it. We don't have sacrifice 2,000 years. So now we back to the past and start to learn all the rules and to understand all the rules. What we read in the books, the old books, and today we can do it and feel it. And I hope to succeed.
There's a group of rabbis that have come from Israel to find the perfect red heifer. And that matters because they want to build the third temple. They believe that if they build the third temple, the Messiah will come, but that can't start until they find a cow, a red heifer without blemish. And then they want to kill it, burn its ashes, mix its ashes from the springs of the Gihon Springs, that would be the closest spring to the temple, and then with a special hyssop, sprinkle the water on the people at the ceremony, and then the Spirit of the Lord will come upon the people, and that's the beginning of the construction of the third temple.
We know that to build the temple and to get inside to the Mount of Moriah, we had to be pure. The big problem today is we are not pure, because all of us visit cemetery, maybe even touch dead people. So the first step is, first of all, to be pure. And to be pure, we need, first of all, the red heifer. At the moment that we have the red heifer, so we can continue to the next stage. Now, we don't know if we can do it tomorrow morning. Let's say minimum 1.5 years, because we need the cattle to be 2 years and 1 month in the third year. So we have to wait another 1.5 years. But today to talk about pure or unpure, it's something that looking some little crazy, if I can say. But yes, this is part of the redemption that we are. We see the high-tech, we see the state of Israel. Everything is changed, everything is a miracle. And we know that there is a lot of questions, a lot of things that we are not understand.
We are very, very pleased to be here with you. On one hand, the red cow is something that if King Solomon, do you know the reason? But it's very exciting because today people are trying to do what God tells them when they understand. To do what God tells you is also if you don't understand. Because you do what He tells you to do. And the red cow is a good sign for us all the time to remember. We try to understand this and this, but also if you don't understand, the highest thing in our world is to do what God tells us. You understand? You don't understand. The red cow is very special because it's red also in the outside and also in the inside. Our blood is red. And it's so something that, outside and inside is connected. And like this, to know God created us pure, clean. Sometimes we are doing things not the best, but inside everyone is clean and pure. And this red cow that's inside and outside is the same. Helps us to go another level, to be clean and pure, to be close to God. And to see all of you here, and all of us believe in redemption, in Geulah. It's something so special that Bezrat Hashem, please go together we'll have all the world to be better world, and to be closer to God, closer to Hashem. So thanks for everyone.
Okay. The purpose of the search for the red heifer is for purification purposes, eventually to purify a restored temple and for individuals to be purified themselves. No wonder they're so very excited at finally finding a suitable candidate for this extremely rare offering.
We know that there was 9 red heifer that done by the first one done by Moses, and then by King Solomon, and then at the second temple time another 7, and we hope that the 10th one will be the one that will close the Messiah, bring the Messiah to be here and to be the step and the second step to the Temple Mount. Let me translate what he said.
Okay.
He said that we think we found the red heifer.
What?
Wow. But we have to wait. First of all, because the red heifer had to be 3 years old. Perfect is a good question, because this is the question. We're looking for the perfect. We found red heifer, yeah. We found that we have here 100% red heifer. If this one the perfect, we don't know, because we have another 1.5 years until they will grow up. They can be sick, they can die, they can maybe change the color of few hairs. So if it's perfect, we don't know, but it looks good.
With thoughts of rebuilding the temple, the third temple that is, on everyone's mind there, we asked Saki if he believes we're truly living in the time of the Mashiach.
What is this? We are living in modern time that nobody have. We're living with opportunity to go all over the world with no problem, just buy a ticket. We can talk rabbis and pastors and Jewish and Christian and Muslim. So I mean, how look like when the Messiah will be came? It will be something else?
This has been a paid program brought to you by Zola Levitt Ministries.